Good afternoon, welcome back to T3. On today's show we have the RX5500XT, which is probably going to be the most difficult review we've actually done to date. Let me tell you why. Alrighty, so what we wanted to do was basically test the 1650 Super Gaming X versus the Gaming X RX5500XT. Now, that's both made by the same manufacturer, being MSI. So it was kind of the best of, or a very good test to see, you know, if they've got the finishing part from Nvidia and they've got the finishing part from AMD in the core and VRAM and that kind of stuff, and the PCB layouts, what they would come up with and how the performance would be kind of affected or positively or negatively. So I just want to start off with, I think MSI tried super hard with this card, all right? They put on a really pretty backplate. The kind of fat boy cooler that's on here is good. They've put the Torx fans, which we've seen on Gaming X products for quite a while, and we know that they do perform well and generally with low noise. But this card, yeah, it was a difficult one. Why it's so difficult is, like I say, I think MSI tried their best that they could do, but it's just not great as an experience compared to the 1650 Super. The card performance was good. I mean, if we're running through the benchmarks now, you guys are welcome to pause, obviously, at any time, just to have a look at the performance. It was good. And even when we look at the kind of end of that with the overclock, I did manage to get some on the core. The memory wasn't really kind of pliable. It wasn't moving around very much. It didn't give me any kind of room or anything to play with. And just even increasing the power delivery gave me issues, general kind of issues. So no real overclocking is available on this card. So as far as that kind of goes and playing with it and kind of getting that kind of experience, it's not really going to be possible. Like I said though, the gaming performance is great and the card looks phenomenal. The build quality, all of that kind of stuff, definitely a 10 out of 10 effort from MSI. But I feel like they've been let down by AMD. AMD cores just, their thermal efficiency just is constantly an issue. I had an R9 390 before, it is still working, a good old Gigabyte G1. And it ran very admirably throughout the 3-ish years that I used it. It always performed very nicely, but it became noisy in the end of its life. And that was also a massive fat boy cooler and everything that was put on that. And it just seems to be this plague that's kind of hitting AMD in the GPU space. Don't get me wrong, I love AMD as a company. They're doing wonders for us on desktop and mobile now, even on their CPUs. Ryzen Tech is taking the world by storm. It's such good value for money, doing a great job there. But in the GPU space, they're just not rising to the occasion, I feel. And this is just more representation of that. Is it good bang for buck performance-wise? Yes, it's going to give you 10% basically performance better than the 1650 Super. But because you can't really overclock and tweak it, and because I could get between 8 and 10% extra out of the 1650 Super, with it costing 10% less, being lighter, making less noise, a lot better general temps. This thing was hitting 67 degrees with a 1-to-1 fan curve. Even my 1080 Strix Advanced, which is a 2-slot cooler on that 1080, albeit yes with more surface area and stuff, it is a much bigger core. That would run in my system at about 63 degrees. Those would be the highest kind of temps. And the difference is I never heard the fan. This would have to ramp itself up because the core just was running hot. It also wasn't very stable. It was fluctuating its megahertz around a bit here and there. But I think it's a good effort from MSI into AMD. You know, a lot of these manufacturers stopped kind of producing cards at the end of the R9 kind of series and then picked up RX480, RX580. And I think RX480 and RX580 were a lot better executed generally than this has been. Although those couldn't overclock and stuff. Basically, in a nutshell, would I buy it? With the 1650 Super being as good as it is and costing just a little bit less, it does make me want to push you know, if we're doing, well, we are doing this direct comparison, it just makes me want to go over in that direction. And I just hope if AMD, even if it couldn't be overclocked and all of that kind of stuff, if AMD could just sort out the thermal issues that these cores have, because this isn't exactly, you know, a 1080 level performance card, if they could just sort out those issues, it would be a bang on product. The performance versus price makes a lot of sense, but the overall experience, I got to give it to the 1650 Super. So with that kind of very difficult review out of the way, we do thank you all so much for watching, and we hope to see you next time. Until then, bye bye.